Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of One of These Doesn't Belong. And now, without further ado, which one of these doesn't belong?
You're like a crazy black man out of control.
Wow, hey, look at that. They're all not the one we're talking about today. Did you notice they all had goofy names? My favorite was Dick previously. Anyway, so I was kind of an early adopter of cord cutting. Cable, telephone, umbilical. I've had Netflix since just about the start of streaming. The content Netflix puts out is pretty hit or miss, but for the most part, it's at least well done. Over the last year or so, Netflix has been putting more and more focus on comedy and documentary style content. And about 2 months ago, they released a documentary about comedy. The show is called Larry Charles' Dangerous World of Comedy, and it's unsurprisingly hosted by Larry Charles. If you're not familiar with who Larry Charles is, he directed both Bruno and Borat. Both are extremely controversial mockumentaries. So theoretically, the guy knows his way around comedy. The premise of the show is that Larry goes to all these places that you wouldn't typically think of being funny. Places like war-torn countries, dictatorships, countries heavily influenced by a strict religion, Detroit, and other unfortunate places. The show is asking, why is humor in these places you wouldn't expect it? Most people seem to understand that humor isn't just a coping mechanism. It's used for many other things. Not just to raise your own spirits like you would with a coping mechanism, but also in times of sympathy, when someone's in a dire situation and needs a distraction. It's also used in a similar way to convey a message or relate to people, kind of like the NWA used to do with their rap music. Now this will be important later because it's not what we're talking about. You'll see what I mean in a few minutes. Anyway, like I was saying, the show covers some pretty tough situations, and Larry goes to these places and asks them the ultimate question, why? However, in the quest for knowledge, I think he might have stepped in—
Pure dog.
Dude, come on, we're this close to actually getting monetized.
Well, someone had to say it.
Who's this homeless person?
Boonk, I'm like 2 minutes into the video. Let me get to the point.
It's terrifying.
Well, you're not wrong. So let's take a look at the interview and see why he's not only included with these comedians, but, as you likely know, Netflix constantly changes the thumbnails of the shows on their platform. So, for some reason, over the last 2 months that the show has been on the platform, his face has been plastered on the thumbnail the entire time. But you know, before we get into that, let's warm up a little bit. Let's do a little experiment. Hey, thank you so much for coming out, everybody. So glad to see so many people here with your— Sir, can you put your phone away?
Oh, it's a fish, dude.
So you ever needed a pair of sneakers? Like you wore through your sneakers, so you needed a new pair? So I went to Foot Locker the other day because I needed a new pair of sneakers. I had holes all through the soles of my shoes. And so what I did was I went in, I tried a pair on, I was talking to the guy. I said, yeah, I want to get these. And we started walking to the counter, and I took off and ran out the door. There's no laugh. Why no laugh? So I went to 7-Eleven, right? Grabbed 2 bottles of orange soda. Orange soda is the best, right? Yeah. So what I did was I took the caps off, poured it on the ground, and then took my shirt off and slid across the ground while yelling "Boot Gang."
It's Boonk gang, you know what I'm saying? That sun drop. That sun drop. Hey.
Still nothing? I got a better one. I took this guy's phone and then ran away with it and then smashed it on the ground.
Call that your phone.
What the heck is wrong with you people? It's almost like this isn't funny or something. It's really strange. I didn't get any laughs. It's almost like there was no humor in it. It's almost like it's just an act of theft and destruction and no punchline. So like I said, Larry's got some pretty good credentials in Hollywood. So you would think he could at least get somebody to Google for him Boonk's history. But instead, the interview starts off with this.
But there is a new African-American comedy that's not about standing on stage and telling jokes. It's about disrupting the social order.
I'm sorry, we're only a few seconds into this and it's already making my brain hurt. Disrupting the social order? He's making it sound like there's some great meaning to what Boonk is doing.
This is comedy that scares white people.
Wait, why did it just become a race thing? Boonk's content is literally just him being a bad person unironically. You know what? Hold up. Let's just let them explain who he is.
Boom. It means a blunt laced with coke. Now it means taking somebody.
So his name came from hard drugs and now means stealing from people. Yep, I see the comment. That's hilarious. But how did Boonk get his start doing this?
I was just on my Instagram live one day and somebody said, hey, make your own chicken and Popeyes.
Sounds like a spur-of-the-moment thing, right? Well, according to this other interview I saw, it wasn't. he actually had done a live stream the day before or something like that, and that's when they decided the next day they would go. Which is interesting because in the other interview, he goes into a lot more detail.
It was probably like 20 people in there. I say, y'all tell me something y'all never seen before. Whole bunch of comments and shit like that. It was like, I seen one comment say, make your own food at Popeyes, make your own chicken at Popeyes. The very next day, me and my brother, we walked down the street to Popeyes.
I order the same motherfucking shit every time I come in here.
Oh, that's very strange. This doesn't seem to be the clip that Larry showed at all. This seems to be a completely different clip that is much more aggressive and definitely seems to be a little bit less practiced. Something I noticed in editing is that this appears to be the only clip that they use that is dated, and it's used right after Boonk tells that story, leading me to believe that either they wanted to use this footage instead of the actual footage because the actual footage makes him look so much worse, or as I said before, their research was just extremely poor. The funny thing is, the other interview is where I got this clip from, and in that interview, he actually describes this clip exactly as the first time he did it. I guess it's not that important though. It only means that he planned the night before to go steal from Popeyes. So he premeditated that. Maybe it does matter.
Tell me about the planning that goes into a video. Or the non-planning.
Right, I don't plan.
Okay.
I just do them.
Oh, so we're not going to address the illegal stuff that he did at Popeyes. We're just going to move on to the planning process, which unsurprisingly is non-existent. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, let alone somebody that's done research about the guy, that he doesn't do any planning. Look at any of his content. If he did, it would look like this. All right, I walk in, I take the shoes, I put them on, and then I run away. Okay, Boonk gang, whole lot of gangs. Now maybe you're picking up what I'm putting down here, but just in case you're not, in a second it's going to become far clearer how much undue credit Larry is giving him.
But you spent a little time in jail.
Yeah, I was in there for 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
I was in there for 2 weeks. And me going to jail, it helped me blow up.
Exactly. It had the opposite effect that the society wants.
When I watched this clip the first 30 or so times when trying to script this video, I was dumbfounded because Boonk got arrested for doing illegal things, and Larry is blaming society. What they fail to mention is that the arrest that they're talking about is the arrest for the Popeyes incident that started all of this.
So you walked out with some stolen Popeyes, basically?
Walked out with some stolen
Because you didn't pay for it?
No, and the reason why I know it's $8 worth because I got arrested for that shit.
Hold up, but wait a minute. In the interview with Larry, Boonk says that the arrest made his videos seem real, right?
When everybody sees I went to jail for my videos, everybody like, yo, his videos are real.
But if he's actually stealing the stuff, then aren't they actually real?
It had the opposite effect that the society wants.
But wait just a gosh darn minute. Boonk in the other interview says that he has a bunch of unresolved legal issues for petty theft and burglary.
Are you free and clear at this point?
Hell nah, I got all type of shit back there in Florida.
Oh yeah, it's like
So,
not
okay.
any real
But
damage.
they trying to give me like burglaries and shit like that for that
$8.
shit. Yeah, like $8 worth of chicken, $38 worth of donuts. Like, what the
It's unbelievable how little sense this interview with Larry makes. It's almost like the entire interview was just done to legitimize Boonk. I mean, they're actually laughing about him stealing things. Supposedly, Boonk paid off the people that he was pranking. But if he did, he wouldn't have legal charges for those, would he? But Larry is so convinced that Boonk is on some kind of comedic journey that he just praises him for standing up against an oppressive society that wishes you wouldn't steal from people. How horrible of the rest of society. But that's still not it. It can actually get more stupid.
To me, one of the things I thought about when I was watching your videos, it's like a metaphor for a race in America.
Was he high when he did this interview? Thank you so much for taking the time to be interviewed, sir. Now, I understand you're accused of being a genocidal maniac, but is that really just a metaphor for not having your parents there for you as a youngling? Hey Larry, can you explain to me how Boonk playing an extreme version of a black stereotype isn't a negative, especially when people in the black community believe and support him actually doing the stuff?
You're like a crazy black man out of control,
Right.
and that scares people.
No, you frigging moron. People aren't scared of Boonk because he's black. They're scared of him because he's insane. Somebody that walks into a store and just starts smashing things is going to worry people. It has nothing to do with the color of their skin. How can you do research on somebody like Boonk And this is what you get from all of it. But no, he's an actual drug addict, an actual thief, and a destructive person generally, as an ironic metaphor.
That was some commitment.
Not really. See, I don't want people to look at me as a crazy black man.
I don't want people to look at me like a crazy black man, even though it's all I act like on the internet.
Do you have any thoughts about that kind of stuff?
Larry. He already said he doesn't plan these and doesn't think about the societal relevance. Just stop.
Trying to imbue his pranks with racial or social or political significance was my issue, my problem, not his. He really didn't care. I'd obviously thought about it way more than he had.
Finally, Larry gets it. Holy crap, that took forever. But wait a minute, he just spent like 5 minutes sucking Boonk's nuts. Since all the stuff he said in the beginning of the video wasn't really true about Boonk's content, doesn't it just kind of make him look stupid to leave it in the final edit?
Well, your fans get it and they love it and they want more. But for the people that you're pranking, they don't get it really until too late. You know?
That's because they're actual victims of crimes, you moron. For them to be pranks, they have to be not real. A prank usually ends with something like, haha, gotcha. Otherwise, it's just actual theft and destruction. You know, at a certain point, I thought maybe Larry was on drugs during all this, but it's making so little sense that I'm starting to think maybe I'm the one that's on drugs.
All these innocent black guys your age being killed.
Right.
You know, I mean, so do you think about that stuff at all? You just don't think about it.
I don't. Like I said, I don't think.
I'm at such a loss for words, Larry. You've put such a focus on race through this entire interview. Are you asking about what he thinks about black men being shot by other people, or are you asking about just black men dying in general? Because the whole tone of the interview leads you to believe that you're talking about cops killing black guys. Though it's not literally said, it seems implied. But either way, you're talking to a rapper who, in your own video on Netflix, you show waving around an assault rifle.
Racial or social or political significance was my issue.
He got banned from Instagram for going live while having sex with a prostitute and doing drugs.
Getting head, eating coochie. He was having legit sex on Instagram Live.
With all of that being true about Boonk, did you really think that it was for the youth of America? So Boonk, do you ever think about the young black men dying in America of gun violence? Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, it's great.
I'm making a statement.
That one line is all you need to know how deep Boonk's content is. I don't think, I'm just making a statement. For you to be making a statement, you have to have thought about what your statement's about. But even with that said, you haven't made a statement about race or anything. So what are you talking about? The man is a professional idiot to a level I've never seen before. And before they end the clip, they once again have to go back into race.
Being a white prankster is easy. Think of Jackass or Borat. People might get mad, but you probably won't get killed.
Right, but again, when we're talking about Boonk, we're not talking about people that put on a funny accent and trick people that way, or people that go into a store together and knock each other out, who have insurance and permits and things like that. How is this being classified as anti-comedy? It's just being done this way so that they can justify Boonk's behavior. They're doing it to the point that they're kind of misrepresenting some of the situations and almost making him a victim. And after finding out all of this, the meaning that Larry thought existed didn't actually exist. But he just casually continues with the production, like it doesn't mean anything. Now, if you've seen other people make videos about Boonk in the past, you'll know that he has influenced a lot of copycats. This is because people thought that his pranks were real. He claims that they weren't real, but at the same time, claims that the state of Florida has a lot of stuff on him. I don't know why if you paid the people you were pranking, they would hate being pranked, first of all, and secondly, if you paid them, why there would be any police charges against you. Some of these videos, it's clear he did pay somebody off to let him prank them, because, like, for example, there's one where he's in a plastic surgeon's office and he steals breast implants. That one was fairly obvious that it was staged. I mean, there's just no explanation for that otherwise. I just don't understand why he's being put on a pedestal with actual comedians and talented people. Larry starts off the segment praising Boonk and talking about how deep his message is. Then, in the interview, they reveal that there is no message. But then, after the interview, he doubles down on that there's a message. But the message that Larry talks about still doesn't make any sense, even if it did exist. This is an old white guy seeing a message for young black people in a content that doesn't have a message because the artist himself said there was no message. But the old white man then doubles down saying, yes, there is a message here. I don't care what the artist says. This is what it means. I just think that's ridiculous and kind of ironic. On top of all that, Boonk's rap career took off quite a while ago, so he doesn't even do this stuff anymore. So now he's getting credit for this amazing message that he had in his content that he didn't have in his content, and it's content he doesn't make anymore. But now he's on a show for making content that he doesn't make anymore. Boonk's behavior influenced a lot of people to behave very badly in stores and in public, stealing things and destroying things. And it's kind of a shame that he gets credit now for being such a good guy and having such a great message. I know this is a little bit long for what is essentially a reaction commentary video, but it's like 7 minutes, and almost all of it is this constant nonsense. If you want to see the full episode, I think it's like episode 4 of the show, and it's on Netflix. If you want to check out the other interview that I found, it's linked in the description below. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will have quite a bit more content coming soon. Hopefully.